Hello, I thought it might be useful to do a video on 4 mallets, which is to say holding 2 mallets in one hand. So sometimes that's just 3 mallets if you only need to hold 2 mallets in one hand and 1 in the other, 2 mallets in the left hand, one mallet in the right hand. Often I find that when I go into school programs and work with them, students have sometimes been told, like if they have a xylophone part that has runs and melodies, and then they have to play the occasional chord, or 3 notes at a time, or 4 notes at a time, that they've been told by somebody to just kind of hold the mallets, please, in one hand. That doesn't really work. You need to actually have some kind of concept of technique for this. But the good news is that there's a really simple grip that is that doesn't cause physiological problems with somebody whose muscular dexterity is still developing, if they're an adolescent, for example. And it's really easy to learn, it's really easy to use, it's very relaxed and comfortable to use. So there are various, like there's a grip called the independent grip or the Stevens grip, where the mallets are held in 2 sections of the hand, and you can get massive intervals all the way down to tiny intervals. You can even get negative intervals. But we're not going to go over that grip right now. This is just something that you can use to hold the mallets. Lots of professionals do use this grip. This grip is not to be underestimated. It's very common on vibraphone, and to an extent it's common on marimba, and the grip has several advantages as well as a few disadvantages, which we'll talk about as we go through it. So it's called the Burton Grip, and the Burton Grip is a cross grip, which is to say that the difference between it and an independent grip, which I was talking about briefly earlier, is that with the independent grip the mallets are held in 2 separate sections of the hand. With the cross grip, the mallets actually cross and are in contact with one another in the hand. So we're going to learn this with the right hand first, and if you want to just move in for a second here. What we're going to do, so this is the right hand, I'm going to take this mallet, which is the one the most to my right, and I'm going to cross it over the other one. That's step 1. Step 2, I'm going to do this with my hand, and I'm going to place my hand right here so that the index finger is between the mallets ahead of the cross, the thumb is to the left of it, and these 3 fingers are to the right of it. Next step, I'm going to pick up the mallets, so the index finger is simply wrapped around. These back 3 fingers are wrapped around both mallets for now, and the thumb is on the outside, and now I have this grip. You can adjust the grip, the mallets within the grip as you need to make sure that the mallets are side by side. And I've got my grip. So, now that I have this, we'll talk a little bit about just one disadvantage of it is that sometimes you can hear the mallets clicking a little bit because they're in contact with one another. But the advantages are, like, it's quite easy to learn how to just pick up the mallets this way. It's a very natural way to hold on to any object. It's very much like holding a snare drum stick, and it's a very powerful grip because you're using your hand in the same way that you do to play the snare drum or to play a hand drum or to wave goodbye to somebody. You're just using this group of muscles here to make the wrist function naturally. So in any case, now that we have our grip, one thing that you can do is you can just practice trying to have just the most natural interval tends to be about 1/3. So that's to say when I cross the mallets and then I pick them up, I'm at about 1/3 right now. And you can work with a few different types of wrist movements. One of them is called the double vertical, where I'm just playing 2 notes at the same time. The next one is called single independent, which is where I turn back and forth, just sort of teeter-tottering back and forth. One wrist rotation and then wrist rotation back the other way, back, forth, back, forth. And then the third one is single independent, which is where I turn my wrist to do the inside mallet, and then I flex my wrist up to do the outside mallet. There are also interval changes, which is the sort of probably the most complicated and intricate part of the grip for us to go over. So we'll start with that. So what I want to do first is try to get the smallest interval that I possibly can. So I'm going to point the index finger out, and I'm going to use these 3 fingers here as well as the thumb to push the mallets in so that they're nice and close to one another. And now I have a second. So you can hit that a few times. The next step is to hook the index finger in, which will force the mallets apart to 1/3. The next step is to take the thumb from the outside and bring it over to the apex of the mallets with the index finger and use it to push the mallets apart just a little bit. You're still holding them in place so that you don't lose control over them entirely with the back 3 fingers. But now I've spread out to 1/4, and then I'm going to use these back 3 fingers here this way, as well as my thumb that way, to pull the mallets further apart, and now I've got a 5th. And then I can just continue that process like that. You can see that these fingers and the thumb are moving in contrary motion, and now I've got a 6th. So if we go all the way back to this, I've got my 2nd, hook the index finger in for a 3rd, bring the thumb over and push out for a 4th, use the fingers to pull over for a 5th, and use the fingers and thumb in conjunction for a 6th. Now I want to contract back to a 5th, so I'm going to bring the thumb just out to the left and contract together a little bit. I've got my 5th, and then I use the fingers and the thumb to contract together more, and I've got my 4th. And then my fingers are now in control of both mallets. I bring them together again, and I've got a 3rd. And then lastly, I point my index finger out, and I use my thumb to bring the mallets in closer together, and I've got my 2nd. So in more rapid succession, you've got there's the right hand. Likewise with the left hand, it's exactly the opposite, just the way your hands are symmetrical, but they're opposite to one another. So I've got my mallets here like this, and when I do the right one, I cross the rightmost mallet over. When I do the left hand, I cross the leftmost mallet over. So if you're doing this with both hands, the best way to remember it is that you cross the outside mallet over the inside mallet. You can't do it the other way. If you do it the other way, then you'll end up with this, and this is another grip called traditional. It was the first 4 mallet grip invented, or 2 mallets per hand grip invented, and it operates by spring loading the hand against itself. So these fingers are working to keep the mallets together while these work to spread it apart, and it's actually very, very unhealthy. So people were operating with that for a long time until Gary Burton, who's a very good vibraphonist, came along and said, why don't we just do this? Do it the other way. Way easier, way more relaxed. So likewise, the left hand, outside mallet over the inside, separate these 3 fingers from the index finger from the thumb. Index finger goes in front, 3 fingers go to the left, thumb goes on the right. Pick up the mallets, and the same procedure. We'll contract down to, we'll do a D and an E here. Contract down to a 2nd by pointing the index finger out and using the hand to grip the mallets together. We've got our 2nd. Then we'll hook the finger in to get a 3rd. Then we'll push over slightly with the thumb to get a 4th. And we'll push out even more with the thumb and pull in even more with these fingers to get a 5th. Then we can go back by bringing the thumb just over to the outside again, pulling the mallet in a bit to get a 4th. And then pull in even more and start moving the index finger forward a bit to get a 3rd. And then these fingers are now operating both mallets and pulling them together, and the index finger points forward to get out of the way to get a 2nd. So when you have that with both hands, then you can do these exercises together. Etc. So that allows your student to now play successions of notes together where they have to do interval changes, move back and forth. So that's a little bit about the Burton Grip. Hope you liked it. Thank you.